Just waiting for Jim and Joe to give me some good news. It's 8 o'clock. Where are you guys? Waiting for my good news. Get your fat ass online already.
Well, they say it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmys and the Joes.
It made sense. It was pass interference. I don't care what anybody says. That was pass interference, offensive pass interference.
Yeah.
Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk from two men in the know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
And you can win under pressure when it's there. You call runs when you're not supposed to, and Dak Prescott is throwing it in the dirt.
You know, I'm convinced that Jameis Winston is going to have an ESPN special 30 for 30.
All right, welcome everybody to Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee. Alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Know-It-Alls? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show.
Yeah.
We are ready to go talk some more football, and I think we're talking about the AFC South.
We are today. We're almost at the end of our long journey with the biggest questions throughout the whole
One more division to
spring
go.
and summer. First of all, I want to say Happy Independence Day to everybody out there. 4th of July is coming up. Independence Day, and a well-needed vacation for myself, and I'm sure others too, and just to relax here with everything that's going on in the world and things. So I'm excited. You know, going to have a long weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Sir.
But we're here to talk some football. And so also I just want to remind you guys, too, we're streaming on Restream through Twitch, on Facebook, and YouTube. So drop a comment in there. Say hello. Ask some questions, whatever you want.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Step
We want to hear
right
from you
on
guys.
up.
All right.
And
So,
if you're new
so
to
Cam
the
Newton,
show-
he ended
Hold
up
on one
signing.
second.
What?
Hold on 1 second.
Sure.
Just want to say thank you, everybody, for checking in on us. If you're new to the show, why don't you go ahead, if you haven't already done so, it would be much appreciated if you could head over to YouTube for us and hit the subscribe button. Search us up, Football on the Know Show. Hit the subscribe button, and then go ahead and hit the notification bell for us so you can get all the latest, greatest updated content. And also, go ahead over on Twitter, at FB_know, to let us know you're there as well.
Oh, we have our first guest
Hello?
already. It's Cynthia Blair's in the house. She says hello.
Hello, Cynthia.
Cynthia Blair is in the house. There we go. We hit her up with the DJ. All right. Well, it's a pleasure having you on there here with the show. Go ahead. You guys can talk some football all you want. We're out here talk about some Cam Newton now. Yeah, again.
Yeah.
Out there forever. Everybody was asking the question, when is he going to get picked up by a team? There's teams that out there that could use a quarterback, one being the Patriots. Patriots go out and finally make the move here, and he signs for a league veteran minimum. He's going to be getting $550,000 guaranteed money, but a $1 million veteran league veteran minimum base salary. So with tons of incentives in here to see where he could potentially make approximately like $7 million or so.
Yeah, $7.5 million is the max he could make.
So, I mean, that's the headline that's highlighting everything right here with the NFL. It's a smart move by the Patriots and smart by Cam Newton. Again, too, this is a nice system where he could flourish in it because, again, we saw with North Turner when he was playing under him with that offense, he did a lot of dink and dunk short passes that was high, accuracy and completion percentage here to get the ball moving and still be able to use his legs here as well. And I know the Patriots and Josh McDaniels, I think, will implement him in that system and be able to make plays for him to have continued success as well.
But isn't this the craziest thing is that Cam Newton is for his whole entire career, whether it be with North Turner, whether it be with Ron Rivera's regime and so forth, he's always had an offense catered to him. And the interesting thing now is this offense he's stepping into is not going to be catered to him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does it fit him? Yeah, absolutely. This offense fits him to a T. He doesn't have to worry about trying to throw the ball down the football field too much. He doesn't have to worry about hitting those intermediate routes on a certain precise timing play because this offense is predominantly, let's say what it is, it's predominantly dink and dunk, and it's designed very well. But the biggest part of this whole equation is that the offense he's stepping into is a very, very complex offense to learn, first of all. And with Cam, on an X's and O's point of view, I'm really not sure how smart Cam is in terms of X's and O's. I know he's a smart guy. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to diminish, his knowledge and so forth. But I just don't know on an X's and O's standpoint how smart Cam is coming into the New England Patriots. He has to learn a completely new offense and learn it like the back of his hand. This offense is so complex. Not many guys can handle this at quarterback. So, and we've seen some players come into the Patriots regime as youngsters, as young rookies, and you see them shortly after a year or 2 years, they're no longer on the roster anymore. And I think that has to do with how complex this offense is to learn. Not everybody can handle it. So, can Cam first of all handle that? If he can, I think he could have some success with New England. I think the offense would fit him very well, and the New England Patriots would do great with Cam at quarterback. But that is the biggest hurdle for me with Cam coming into New England. Now, on the other hand, there is a quarterback who's been there, who has an advantage in Jarrett Stidham, who already knows the offense. He's got a huge advantage already, and he's definitely not going to want to give that up so easily. So the one thing that Stidham has in his favor as well is that Belichick and Robert Kraft both already like the guy. They both already like him. They both have already seen some success when the limited times he was been able to get on the football field. He's had some success, but he's also made mistakes. But let's see if he can build on that, and maybe Cam doesn't even get a shot to get the start.
Yeah, that's one of the intriguing things moving forward because, again, the Patriots have come out, and, of course, the Patriots are going to say this, that, he is not guaranteed the starting position.
Of course,
he's going
they
to
have
have to
to.
earn it here and there. But let's take a look back at that 2015 MVP season that he had to where they're hoping that they can get something close to this type of Cam Newton here, where he had a completion percentage of 59.8, which isn't great, but he had almost 4,000 yards and 636 rushing yards, 35 touchdowns and passing and 10 running, and only 10 interceptions. So a 35-10 and a rate of a 99.4. That was his best season except for 2018,
right,
to where he had like a 60.5 or so completion percentage here under Norv Turner, which we said because he was struggling, especially coming off the injuries. They bring Norv Turner, and like you said, they wanted to utilize something that revolved more around his talents and what he could do, and where they could move the ball slowly and a short game. But the one key part of that is Christian McCaffrey. He was their leading receiver in 2018 with 867 yards.
Right.
And that's not even a whole lot there.
Right.
And on top of that, he had 1,098 yards, which that puts him, I think it was 6th overall in rushers, and they had the 4th highest rushing offense completely to this. So they were revolving around the run, and then within RPOs and play action, they were getting their passes along through, averaging about 3.5 yards, air yards. I think Pro Football Reference tracks it as a CAY. It's how many yards and distance in the air is it actually traveling before it's completed, and that happened to only be 3.5 yards.
Right.
So that's very small, and that's the problem here because. I mean, with the New England Patriots, yes, they like to do that here and there with their running backs that they have, but they also like to beat you deep, and we're talking about mismatches too. Is he going to be able to complete those things? Is he going to be able to get that done with them? And really, do they have the receiver to do that? You know what I'm saying? Because you saw last year, they had struggled at the wide receiver position.
And they're still...
Is N'Keal Harry going to step up? Is he going to get it? That's where I think is a bigger question with this team, moving forward. And is he, like you said, coming into everything, is he going to learn the playbook and then surpass Stidham that quickly, and be able to transfer that to the field? Or, again, is he going to be something they can utilize plays here and there and packages with him and mix it up?
And here's the thing is the 2015 season, everybody keeps bringing up Cam Newton's MVP year. That was 2015. Let's turn the page a little bit past that now. He had one phenomenal year, and that was great. That offense with the Panthers was amazing for him because it was surrounded for him. It was built for him, and that's why he had such great success. Now, I feel that I have a little bit of a hard problem here with Cam Newton coming to the Patriots. Do I think the offense itself fits him? Yes. I think it would be great for him. But the one thing that Cam Newton has struggled with as well is anticipation, knowing where the receivers are supposed to be at all times. And I feel like that might play a little bit into this move. Yes, he's going to a phenomenal organization, but Cam Newton, again, he's got to anticipate where these receivers are going to be, where Julian Edelman is going to break off and going to be, where N'Keal Harry is going to be. These are a lot of big questions. Can Cam do that? I'm not as confident in that aspect for him to anticipate some of these routes that have to be run. He's got to read the same exact thing as the receiver reads. They got to be hand in hand. That's what made Tom great with this organization, is because he knew not only the offense extremely well, but he could see as soon as they lined up on offense, he read the same route tree that Julian Edelman was going to run, that anybody else was going to run. And he already knew what those guys and where they were going to be. Now, that's going to be the big challenge for Cam coming into this, to not only learn the offensive playbook, but then he's got to be on the same page every single down. And that, I think, is where he's going to struggle a little bit. That's where I definitely think Stidham has already got a leg up on him and could very well just hold on to that starting gig. I believe Cam was brought in more of an insurance policy than anything. And, hey, the Patriots can at least say this. We tried, and if it doesn't work, nothing happens. They spend next to nothing in terms of money on a guy who they just rolling the dice on. Hey, why not take the risk a little bit here? But it's really not a risk when you're paying the guy like $1 million in base salary. And if he doesn't pan out, you cut your losses and move on, and everyone's going to be like, okay. But if it goes the other direction and he does play phenomenal for the Patriots, now the Patriots look like geniuses once again. So to them, why not take a shot? Now, when you talk about receivers, this is where it's still a problem. Last year, didn't have the receivers. This year, they still don't have the receivers. Julian Edelman, returning from an injury, is another year older, a guy that's not getting very young, and he just keeps getting older every single season. He's a guy that's at the end of his rope. He's at the end of his years. He's going to come. Now he's playing with a completely different quarterback. He doesn't know what quarterback that is, but it's going to be different all the same. N'Keal Harry, a rookie who his rookie year didn't really play much, hardly at all. Now he's seen as the starter right now. And I'm sorry, but N'Keal Harry's not a burner. He's a very big receiver to throw to, great red zone target. But I see more Harry as a slot guy, but Edelman's already there. So they're going to kick Harry to the outside, which I don't really know how open he's going to get, especially deep. He probably won't get that open. And that's going to be a concern because as you look at this roster, I don't see any major burners that can push down the football field. And I know that you brought up that they're going to attack deep, but I just don't, with the way this offense and the way they run it, they're not looking to really push the ball deep. They're going to take whatever is available to them short and intermediate, and then if the defenses do press, that's when they try to take their shot. But again, I just don't see anybody right now that's coming out that can actually take the top off the defense and open this thing wide open. So because of that, because of Cam's, because of his resume, how he likes to run, how he just dink and dunks, and he likes to play the safe play. He likes to just not make it too difficult on the football field and just take whatever is given below. Whether it's 3rd and 5 and he doesn't get it, he'll be comfortable with knowing, I got 2 yards, I got 3 yards, but you didn't get the first downs. And that's the thing that this is going to be an interesting scenario going forward to see. One, we still have to get confirmation who's going to end up winning this job. And two, whoever it is, can they match what Tom did?
And you bring up Tom Brady here. It's funny. Something happened here on Instagram. It was Julian Edelman's Instagram. He says, showing some love here to Cam Newton. And he said, let's get started. And Tom Brady answers right back and says, I'll always be your number one. So he's already dropping things on Julian Edelman,
Right.
almost even kind of like he's a little hurt. It's like, oh man, you're jumping into the whole Cam Newton thing already. He's like, hey, you still love me the best. You don't forget about me. I think that's pretty funny here on Tom Brady's part to jump in on that. And but yeah, I mean, it's a valid question. I mean, and if you look at the injury list here, I mean, he's got a laundry list here, and bad ones like the shoulder, the foot issue that keeps popping up here on his left foot, and the knees, ribs, the back. I mean, it's a bunch, and plus the concussion he had because he is that type of a runner, takes hits, and like we have brought it up, the fact that he doesn't get penalties thrown in his favor for hits on him and things like that. How's that going to fare? Is it going to be different in New England now that they get the better half of flags? You know what I mean? So,
I get that, but that's the other thing too is like Cam. He's not going to be put into those positions like he was in Carolina, where you need to run the ball or take it upon yourself and just get to that corner, get out to the corner and get around the corner, run down the sideline. He's not going to have to be forced or a play designed for him to go and accept these hard hits or take on these bigger guys. Even though Cam don't get me wrong, he's a good sized quarterback, and he's definitely can take the hits. But now that you're getting older, you're 30 plus years old now. Was he 32?
32. Yeah.
He's 32 years old, and your body is now breaking down. After you hit that 30 mark, your body starts to break down, especially when you're in the NFL. So his body has had enough. We've seen it just recently with his shoulder injury and how long it took him to get back from that. So the one thing the Patriots are going to do is they're going to do their best and make sure that he's not going to take major hits. And that's going to be a big key for Cam, going forward and sustaining however long he plans on playing for right now. Because with that, like you just showed that laundry list of injuries, I mean, that is going to be pretty rough. When you look at this list, I mean, can you honestly say, like, oh, at his current age, he should be able to play another 3-4 years? I'm sorry. The injuries, the offense that was catered to him in Carolina, that's why you saw a guy like Cam not get signed for as long as he's been out there in free agency. It has nothing to do with his physical talent. It's about the injuries. It's about how on day one when he came into the league, the offense was catered around him. He didn't have to go and learn outside of what he was comfortable with.
What he was already doing in Auburn and things like that.
Exactly. Right. So now it comes full circle. He's going to get another opportunity in New England. Let's see how that all pans out. And may the best man win in New England.
Right. I mean, it could be a perfect fit for him, too, to get his career revamped like he's thinking. There's a lot of different angles to look at it. I mean, again, because we've seen glimpses of what he could do. He has suffered with the injuries, which could limit his ability. We saw it in, was it not 2018, but 17, I think it was, where he had struggled even a bit to where we saw it started to flutter, and that's why they brought in Norv Turner to try and reinvent Cam, and got him going better. But then again, the injury, and now we see Kyle Allen move in the helm, and now we have Teddy Bridgewater now back into it all. So it's a carousel of quarterbacks here in Carolina.
Isn't that crazy, though?
Yes.
Because Teddy Bridgewater, he was written off after he got drafted.
He's a funny
failed,
thing too now,
he failed in every aspect of being a starting caliber quarterback. And for him to reinvent himself over the years, that's pretty remarkable. That's a guy that never gave up and worked extremely hard. And to be also to sit behind a guy like Drew Brees for a couple of years, to really kind of hone in his skill, not only just hone in his skills, but also to be able to learn from a legend like that. That was, more than its weight in gold right there. So now he's getting another opportunity, and he's still young. So, I mean, why not take another shot on Teddy Bridgewater? Now he's getting another opportunity in Carolina. Carolina fans are very excited because, yes, they were upset that they moved on from Cam, but now they get another young guy, Teddy Bridgewater, to come in there, and maybe, who knows, maybe they can make some magic happen there with the new coaching regime.
Absolutely. And another guy who had been injured, a lot of questions. He went and was able to prove himself because of the injury to Drew Brees, and look at the deal he got now. Cam's looking to do the same thing here in New England.
Right.
We'll see what happens. A lot of scenarios, like I said. He's a more outspoken guy, and Bill Belichick likes to keep it in-house. What's going to happen when he hits the podium? Is it going to be, I don't want to talk about that, or you don't understand?
And that's the
Is
thing,
it going to
too.
be commenting?
Right.
There's a lot of scenarios going on with this signing. It's very
how is he
intriguing.
going to handle the media in New England?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we've seen him walk off, and we do know that. That's when he was
gets
younger.
Emotional. I think he tells you an honest answer. He's not going to give you a cookie cutter. He tells you what's on his mind. Whatever is
or
at that time.
just avoids the question and just leaves.
Yeah,
But Cam,
at times.
I just
got
to say one thing. Can you please just cut your hair, please? I mean, it looks ridiculous.
Maybe. Well, I don't know. He does a lot of different things. You never know. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, Cam Newton there in New England. We'll see what happens moving forward with them. But we'll see. We'll see it pretty soon. Hopefully, July 28th, starting up with camps. We'll see what happens due to COVID-19. What's gonna happen moving forward? Are we gonna be able to see some of these guys training and things? Are we gonna be able to have guys reporting there and visit and get to see footage of what's going on there? Right. We'll see moving forward though with that. So Cam Newton to the Patriots. What do you guys think? You like it? You don't like it? Do you think he's going to be winning the starting job over there with Jarrett Stidham or not? Let us know here. Drop a comment or hit us up on Twitter at FB_now. All right, let's hit up our new in the know fact of the day. Joe, we were talking about the Patriots, so I decided to hit us off with a fun Patriot fact. This is pretty funny. I don't think a lot of people know this one, but a former New England Patriots linebacker and special teamer, Larry Izzo, once pooped on the sidelines of an NFL game. Wes Welker confirmed the story to ESPN's Dan Levitard. Patriots coach Bill Belichick then awarded Izzo the game ball afterwards.
Oh, my God.
How about that?
Larry.
Yeah. See,
Come on, Larry.
Yeah. Is that embarrassing or what?
God.
Yeah. I mean, there you go. So, and Bill Belichick honorably gave him the game ball. You know what I'm saying? So, there you go. That's our in the know fact of the day. That's right.
Disturbing.
Yeah. So, Joe, it's time to get to our big segment here that we've been doing. We've been doing all the biggest questions here, just covering all the divisions along the whole NFL. We are down to the AFC South. Next week we'll do the NFC South, and we'll wrap it up, and then we'll get into some more stuff with you guys moving forward as the season continues, hopefully, on schedule, along with fantasy and other things like that. So let's hit them off now here, Joe, with the AFC South's biggest questions. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. The AFC South's biggest questions. Let's start off with the Indianapolis Colts first here with the AFC South's biggest questions. How will the offense look here in 2020, Joe, with the additions that they've had? It's good.
Well, to say it real quickly, it's going to look very different, right? I mean,
you would think maybe with the different personnel, but same coordinator there, though. So,
Frank Reich is still handling the offensive play calls, and you look at this team. Different quarterback now. Jacoby Brissett is not going to be the starter anymore. Andrew Luck has moved on, and now it's going to be none other than Phillip Rivers. He steps in, and I think this is a good move by them because of the way everything worked out for the Colts organization. Because they knew they weren't going to get Andrew Luck back, he was just way too far injured, and it just couldn't make it work. Couldn't stay healthy, and because they weren't happy. They did not buy into the Jacoby Brissett estate here for the long-term plan, so they decided to move on from him, and now they find a veteran quarterback in Phillip Rivers to come in, start right away. They don't have to worry about grooming him. They don't have to worry about him learning the playbook because why? Because he's very familiar with their playbook already. Frank Reich and him work together, and they work together very well, so I look for Rivers to come right in. He's going to know everything there is to know on the offense, and he's going to deliver. And mind you, the craziest thing for Phillip Rivers right now is that as long of a career as he's had with the Chargers, he hasn't had a solid offensive line his whole entire career. He's always managed to come up with these crazy these highlight plays and deliver wins for the Chargers organization, despite having a mediocre offensive line or less than. Only a few offensive weapons around him. Now he's coming into the Colts with one of the better offensive lines in the league that's going to protect him, hold him up. And what makes it dangerous is that Rivers is no joke. If you give Rivers time, he will deliver time and time again. He makes all the throws very accurate, very smart. And with the running backs that he has at his disposal as well, he doesn't have just one great running back. He's got Jonathan Taylor, who's coming in as a rookie. Marlon Mack, you got to stay healthy, buddy. If Marlon Mack can do that, this tandem that they got brewing, it's a little bit like thunder and lightning here. They got the best of both worlds, and you also have none other than Nyheim Hines still there. So they have very deep running backs, great offensive line, and then you go to the offensive weapons at receiver. T.Y. Hilton is returning. He's healthy. Can he stay healthy? That'll be the bigger question. Michael Pittman is a rookie that they drafted very high on. This guy I was very high on my scouting report. I had him in the top 10 in terms of receivers coming out. I think as long as he can get this playbook down, he will definitely be the starter opposite T.Y. And you also don't forget about Zach Pascal. Now, Zach Pascal came in probably like the latter half of the season at the slot receiver position and kind of just started to take over games at times. So also don't forget Paris Campbell, who they drafted a couple years ago in 2019. He has been a rookie for one season. He's starting to get more comfortable in the offense. Look for him to take a big step forward. So they got a lot of youth in the receiving core. They got a great offensive line. And the tight end position, everybody loves Jack Doyle, but they also managing, and they went out and they signed Trey Burton to kind of give that tandem role at tight end position. So Trey Burton's going to probably push the ball down the field, go do seam routes all day long with Rivers thrown to him. I think there's young, good weapons available right here for Phillip Rivers to use, and I think this offense is going to be a little bit better. Yes, I said it. It's going to be better than last year.
Yeah, I think so too. And the big knock on Phillip Rivers is, as of late, especially all the turnovers that he's had, and especially in big moments or like towards the end of the game, like when they needed it the most. It would just boom, a turnover. He's not seeing something or he's pressured. I think this is a fresh start for him. I like the personnel that he has around him. Like you said, now switching out Erica Braun, they were able under this system to get Erica Braun back to a status we haven't seen in a while. And now we can see hopefully Jack Doyle get back to where he was. We just haven't
seen that.
Yeah. Oh, I know, right? And Trey Burton here now finds a home here with these guys, which I like as well. And yes, Jonathan Taylor, I think one of the steals of the draft to get him on alongside here with Marlon Mack, I think is a great 1-2 punch. And you said Nyheim Hines. I'm liking that. Their wide receiver depth gets better than what they had last year. So ultimately, yes, I think their offense will be better. And it's not just a carousel of quarterbacks, because even they had issues with injuries last year too, to where they were just struggling and trying to set afloat after Andrew Luck just right before the season started basically, I quit. So they were just kind of scrambling like, well, we got to make sure everybody's set and get Jacoby Brissett with the starting crew, get them together, get it going. But then with injuries, they were struggling. But you saw towards the tail end of last season, they were able to kind of muster something up, and they still were kind of in it in a little bit, almost had a chance to make the playoffs still, despite what was going on. And the only problem here facing them last year, the point differential here. They could not score to their opposition that was coming up. They are a -12 in the point differential here on teams due to probably the lack of production of what they had at quarterback. They have now a solid quarterback in Phillip Rivers. Can he keep the turnovers down? We would hope so.
I think
here
he can,
too,
because the craziest
and
thing,
a strong defense here on top of it. So.
That's the biggest thing is you look at this offense. It's one of the best offenses in the league.
Yeah.
When has Rivers had that?
A year removed with Andrew Luck.
He's never had
right
that
there.
good of an offensive line. So now you got to just think of what he's been able to do with the Chargers. And now you're coming to a team where it's one of the best offensive lines that's going to help keep you upright, keep you protected.
Yeah, that's true, too. Moves behind one of the best offensive lines.
Give you more time to throw the ball or find an open receiver? Are you kidding me?
Absolutely.
I think Rivers is going to have the one of the best years of his career ever, just because of the offensive line play.
Here we go. Moving on to our next question here. Now, can Gardner Minshew here be the franchise quarterback for the Jags here? This is the question facing these guys because last year, they ended up miraculously just finding him in the starting position for them due to the injury of Nick Foles right in the first game. Now, they go and get Nick Foles from Philadelphia. He opts out of his contract. He wants to be a starter somewhere else, goes to Jacksonville. They're like, yes, we've got Nick Foles, the guy who just won the Super Bowl with the Eagles.
That's right.
Yes, here we go. And then out. And so they've got this young guy. The young people in the crowd jumped on him just because of his attitude, the way he looked.
The mustache,
Uncle Rico, they're all about it. He was winning. I mean, look at his numbers even here, too. You would want these numbers from any of your quarterbacks. 21 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, 3,271 yards at a rate of 91.2, and he's still throwing at 60.6%. You know what I'm saying? So he was getting it going. The only knock on Gardner Minshew was ball control, ball handling.
Right.
Again, fumbleitis, things that happened that plagued Daniel Jones last year, that has plagued Jameis Winston. You have to have that presence in the pocket, and even when you're scrambling, he could even scramble and get out there on the run, but he's got to secure the football, and that has been the game, the thing that had turned the tides for them in their games that they faced last year. But unfortunately, due to things out of his control, their defense has just not been good anymore. They got rid of Jalen Ramsey. People wanted out, and they've gone from a top 5 defense to like a ranked 25th or so defense. Can't get it going there, and they can't bail this team out anymore like they did with Blake Bortles' era. So they need Gardner Minshew to get this offense going, get it moving, and you need some production out of Leonard Fournette again. We need to see the old Leonard Fournette here to get things moving too as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is we knew from last year, we were talking about their financial situation and how there's no way that they're going to be able to afford to keep everybody. That is why you saw Jalen Ramsey get dealt to the Rams. That's why you saw their D tackle get dealt away. So they had to move on from those pieces, and not for nothing, but that in turn ended up kind of hurting this defense in terms of talent. They did their best in the draft to try to replenish those spots. You look at K'Lavon Chaisson, who's going to come in at the strong side linebacker position. That was their first-round draft pick right there. They managed to hold on to Yannick Ngakoue for at least one more season with the franchise tag. He's going to be stuck there, even though he really wants out as well. But also, they had their draft pick in 2019, Josh Allen, who kind of took over games at times. I don't know how many sacks he had, but he did extremely well as a rookie. Probably around 9 sacks, I want to say, something like that.
Who was it?
Josh Allen.
Okay, yep.
But then you go ahead and you look at their cornerback position, their defensive backs. They've kind of used a little bit of duct tape now to cover some holes here. You got Rashawn Melvin now as one of your starting corners. I'm sorry, he's a little bit of a journeyman. He can't nail down any one team and stay there for too long. He, again, just trying to patch that hole. And then on the other side, you got the likes of DJ Hayden. But the one big thing that they did with one of their first rounders is they did grab a guy who's similar to Jalen Ramsey and CJ Henderson, who looks the part, looks like he could step right in and make an impact right away. We have to wait and see how that all shapes out. But they are making moves to try to replenish this defense with youth and try to get to play on the football field a little bit better year after year. You also have to look, when you look at this offense, now Gardner Minshew, what he's taking on right now is they had a little bit of a battered offense last year. Their offensive line was wounded here and there throughout the whole season. They never really had a complete, healthy offense. Now he's getting all these guys back. Chris Conley which was a surprise to me when he got signed to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm like, what a wasted signing. But, man, he impressed a lot of people in Jacksonville. He impressed me. and he is one of those legitimate starters now
We
in
got to see
Jacksonville
what
Jaguars.
Kansas City kind of liked him because, again, we kept hearing that they liked him in the spot where he was,
Right.
and we didn't really see it out there.
But the biggest problem
can
for him
see
was
it.
drops, and he managed to correct that in Jacksonville. I don't know what it was. Was it the weather? I don't get it. Was it uniforms? I don't know. Was it the shoes? Don't know. But nonetheless, and DJ Chark, same thing for him. His rookie year, he was dropping everything.
Right.
And there was a lot of concerns because he was a second-round pick, I believe, and they thought the world of him coming in, and he just failed his rookie year. But then his second year blew up, is now seen as one of the best receivers in the league, and is starting to really make a name for himself. Now, the biggest key is this offensive line. It's what it always comes down to. These guys have to stay healthy. If they do so, then this offense is going to be prolific. I really do believe that. Gardner Minshew will be just fine if his guys up front can not only stay healthy but keep him protected well. And another move that I liked in the draft that the Jacksonville Jaguars did is they did get to draft in the second round Laviska Shenault, who wasn't very high on the list in terms of receivers coming out. He had a lot of upside, and a lot of people were seeing him as maybe like a low-end first-round draft pick. But he ends up sliding in the second round. Jacksonville takes him because now they're bolstering this offense even more. If this kid can get the playbook down, look for him to be kind of like a chess piece that they can utilize. They can put him in the slot because he is that big, physical type of receiver. Not the fastest guy, but runs good routes, has very strong hands, and he makes plays. So if they can get him on the football field, this offense is going to take another step forward.
And you bring up DJ Chark. I talked about him early in 2018 having the explosive playability again, but the stone hands, not being able to get things together here. Could he get it figured out? And it seemed like in 2018, I was a fool. I was just dreaming on this. 2019 rolled around. He put in the work. He got it going. And unfortunately, to that aspect, we see our boy Keelan Cole drop off the face of the earth. I mean, I saw a lot of big things, and again, he flashed right there with that season that they went to the championship game against the Patriots.
Right.
And ever since then, he's just been slipping. And again, that is attributing to Chris Conley coming in there and performing here as well. Now, our buddy Russell Baxter here for Fansided.com, he had brought up on one of his questions about maybe what is the impact that Jay Gruden would have in this offense and with Gardner Minshew. That's an interesting point, too, because, again, Jay Gruden, before he became the Washington head coach and things like that, he was, one of these quarterback gurus or a whisperer. He has been able to work with guys throughout since the beginning when he was working in Tampa Bay with his brother and so on, to got him the head coaching job. What kind of effect will he have here with Gardner Minshew? Let's hope that he helps him correct the pocket awareness here, not create those fumbles, because overall he was getting some stuff here done. I like a lot of what Gardner Minshew has to offer here with this team. He has the weapons now, it seems. I mean, especially if you can get Keelan Cole, too. It's a nice plethora. And I like Tyler Eifert at the tight ends position, even though he does have injury issues here and
he'll
there.
last 3 weeks.
I mean, I know. But this is one thing they've lacked for a while. They've had Mercedes Lewis forever, or whatever. It seemed like forever. And not really a good tight end. They've tried to get that receiving tight end there. Can they finally solve that situation here? Who knows moving forward?
I mean, the interesting thing is Mercedes Lewis has always been a better blocker than a receiving tight end. Tyler Eifert, when healthy, he's a legitimate receiving tight end. However, he just can't seem to stay healthy. So that may be a short-lived addition, but hopefully guys like they took like flyers on like Tyler Davis out of the draft or something like that. Maybe he can develop a little quicker than anticipated and help get on the football field and stretch the field that way.
Yeah, and you brought up Josh Allen. He had 10.5 sacks last year, so you're
I was
close. Right
close.
there. Boom, you're right there.
I was close.
And I'd dance around the option now. If you look at this team, I know Yannick Ngakoue wants out of here.
He's bad.
So, and I know Jamal Adams wants out of the Jets. What do you say about possibly a swap here in a trade of picks for get either of these guys in a different position, Ngakoue to the Jets, and then possibly, Adams to the Jaguars?
So for that to happen, there's a lot of moving parts because you got to agree on one, like you were saying, compensation. Well, Jamal Adams has higher value than Yannick Ngakoue. I'm sorry. If Yannick Ngakoue was seen as more of a elite DN pass rusher, then I could see it happening. But I think it's too big of a gap, I feel, if you're going player to player with Adams and Yannick. The Jaguars would have to give up more than – they would probably have to give up a first or at least a second just to get the conversation going. And then because the Jets are absolutely in love with Adams, I know it's not being reported like that.
Yeah, I know.
But I feel like the organization wants him very badly to stay in New York, but he just isn't having it right now, publicly coming out and saying, just trade me, because we haven't gotten even close to a contract negotiation.
He wants to be paid what he's worth.
Which
is
agreed on
because again, he's ranked like 31st out of all the safeties in the NFL.
Absolutely.
In pay. So and he's up there.
But here's the thing:
safety.
if he's asking for big money, guess who else is asking for big money? Yannick Ngakoue. That's why I don't think this would ever happen. It's not like Yannick Ngakoue is already under contract and they're like, oh, we could work something out. So it's a good idea. Could it happen? There's a slight possibility that something like that could happen, but do I think it'll happen? I don't think so.
All right, moving forward now, let's go to the Tennessee Titans. Now, the big question for them is got to be, can Tannehill repeat 2019 success? I mean, that's got to be it, because they re-signed him here reworked a new deal to keep him there now when there were other quarterbacks out there, and we had talked about Tom Brady was out there at the times. There was murmurings that he was talking to Mike Vrabel. He might go to Tennessee. They were interested.
That'd be funny, right?
It was going around. I mean, but then they go and lock in Ryan Tannehill. They believed in him if he can repeat the success from 2019 moving forward, and handing off the ball with that running game that they've got. Are they going to be able to make it back to the playoffs and potentially further and deeper to the AFC Championship game to make a Super Bowl run with them?
Yeah, and here's the thing is, when you look at this offense as a whole, do I think Ryan Tannehill could maintain his success from last year? Absolutely. And why do I say that? Is because when you look at their offense, there's nothing really changed. I mean, they still have Derrick Henry in the backfield, at least for one more season. Now, that's the other crazy thing, is just thinking about that, is they still have not worked out a new deal long-term to keep him there as a Titan. And it's got to be a little concerning, because I know a lot of Titan fans are like, hey, what are you waiting for? This guy is a bulldozer with the football in his hands. Why are you even entertaining the idea of, oh, we're just going to stay patient and maybe his demand for money will come down, or work out a deal, for crying out loud. This guy is your guy at the running back position. You don't have anybody behind him that's good, that can match his success. So or playmaking ability on the football field. But past that, the offensive line is still there. They did manage to lose a right tackle, but what it sounds like right now is that they got plans for Dennis Kelly, who's been on the football team, to take over that starting job at the tackle position. So they already have a plan for that. Jonnu Smith is now going to be the legitimate starter at tight end. So we've seen he's a speedy type of tight end. He's definitely all receiving. He's not the best blocker, so watch out for him to kind of stretch the football field. In the same light, also Michael Pruitt is also backing up Jonnu Smith. They're both kind of mirror images physically, and they're both guys that are going to tack down the football field. The one concern that I do have with this team is their number one draft pick in 2017 in Corey Davis. Where are you, Corey? I mean, Tennessee fans would like to know, what are you doing on the football field? Is it just he doesn't run the best routes? Because that's what it seems like to me, because it seems like he has a hard time getting open. And usually for a receiver to have a hard time getting open, it's usually because your route running is subpar. So I wonder, Davis, you gotta step up this year. You have to step up and show that you were and deserving of that first-round pick, because if you don't, I could see a guy like Corey Davis be on his way out into free agency after this year. But a big spotlight and a highlight for them is A.J. Brown, who they just drafted in 2019 in the second round, a guy who a lot of people, myself included, thought would be better than DK Metcalf coming out the same year. Both teammates. A.J. Brown is more complete. Great route runner. We've seen everything that this guy can do. He takes over football games, even as a rookie he did. So, a lot to like there. Adam Humphries, that nice slot receiver that they have there. So, yeah, I think their offense, because they haven't really lost anything major for them, and I think that you got all these guys returning again with Ryan Tannehill there. There's still that chemistry there. There's still that, everybody knows everybody. So I think this offense is going to take another step forward, actually. With Henry still being there, it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I agree with you here, too. Again, a lot of the same crew, and you get Adam Humphries on board for the wide receivers. I think it only help Ryan Tannehill moving forward, and you got to just stick true to the Derrick Henry running game.
And I just want to
this
ahead. Isn't Ryan Tannehill related, but I felt like I wanted to touch on this. As good as the Titans' defense was last year, you know that they haven't played with their starting cornerbacks for the most of the year, right?
Too, yeah.
I mean, they're getting back Malcolm Butler and Adoree Jackson this year.
Yeah.
So as good as their defense was last year, it's going to be even better.
Yeah, definitely. We got our buddy Mike Tack is in the house tonight.
All right.
There he is. There he says, "Happy Wednesday, guys. So with the Bills not allowed to have fans at the stadium per state guidelines, how do you guys see the rest of the league handling attendance for stadiums? Personally, I think it would be best if the league followed the same protocol entirely, thus not giving any team an advantage." We talked about this, what was it, a week or two ago? I think it was
2 weeks ago.
Mike, I don't know if we did it on the show or not, but
no,
both of them
we
did
talked
personally on the
off
off air.
camera.
I think we talked about it.
Yeah. But Mike, you know what?
We were on different sides too.
Yeah, but the funny thing is I completely agree with Mike. I absolutely think that this is what should be done. Now, the NFL has come out and they have stated that as of right now, their thinking is depending on your state, what your guidelines are, they're leaving it up to teams. Individually, the teams are being allowed to do what they want for their stadiums within their guidelines of their own state. So, say, for example, like you just brought up the Buffalo Bills in New York. We can't have people being that we can't have large crowds, so they're not going to be allowed to be in Buffalo. But if Buffalo Bills travel to, let's say, I mean, this isn't true or anything, but let's just say they travel to Arizona, and Arizona's mayor comes out and says, you know what, you can have people at the stadium, it's going to be okay, but you can't have a full crowd. We'll have to do like every third, fourth seat, whatever, to keep it that way. There's a slight advantage for the Cardinals now because now they have a crowd presence. That is a little bit of an advantage. Now you flip it over to the Buffalo Bills. Now their home game has nobody in the stands, and they're kind of they're doing the whole pumping the crowd noise in because it seems like the NFL is going to make that legal to a certain decibel amount for the home teams if they're not allowed to have fans. And I do agree with you, Mike. I think that if you're gonna do one thing, it should be the same way across the whole board. So if certain teams aren't allowed to have fans at their stadium per their mayor, their state, their governing body, then that should be the same across the board for the whole NFL. It should be fair. It should be the same, just like the rules and protocols that every team should follow.
And they actually do play the Cardinals here moving forward. They play the Seattle Seahawks.
I just threw that
They
out
play
there.
the Seahawks and the Chiefs, but they're all home games. They do play the 49ers at home, but I'm not sure how the crowd's going to affect
Yeah,
there
we
too.
don't know.
And the
We don't know.
Broncos at home. But besides that, again, I don't see a lot of difference because, again, there you have New Jersey, New York. The Raiders, they play in Vegas. Now, will that make a difference there? Are the Raiders fans in Vegas going to show up, or are they going to get crazy if they're allowed to have them there? And you and I have discussed this, and I said, well,
That
they do
goes
get
without saying.
profit sharing. So, I mean, money's not an issue there, I think, because they'll be able to split, revenue here and there. But again, I thought about, the presence of fans and is it going to make that much of a difference? And I didn't really think it would, but I guess if it depends on how much of an attendance you could get if you're allowed fans. Like, is it going to be every 6 seats or something like that? You get one, so a percentage of how many people you fit in your stadium is going to be like 1,000 people compared to none. I guess that's still a big difference. It's tough. I don't know how players feed off the crowd so much. If it's going to be a major difference or not.
Definitely do.
I don't know.
And that's why that's why you look at the 12th man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you know how crazy they get up in Seattle and how loud they are. And now, granted, we don't know what the parameters are going to be for any of these teams. We don't know if they're going to be allowed to have full stadiums, half stadiums, maybe less than that, whatever have you. We don't know the details that's going to happen just yet. It's still early, but we're speculating that even if they have a light crowd, like say you can have just as much as like maybe the lower half would be filled, but spread out. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the amount of crowd that you could have, but then you spread them out throughout the seating. That's enough to make a ruckus. That's enough to get in the heads of some players. That's enough to create a disturbance, or maybe the football team gets whatever, because crowds do make a difference. Now, if it's so light to the point where it's like not that loud, you know what I mean? It's not going to be generating that much sound, or the crowd isn't that big enough to make an impact. I still believe that if you're going to do something for a few teams, you got to do it the same throughout the league, because it's just not fair. Like everybody wants their fans there. Everybody wants them there. And if you're only saying, "Oh, well, I'm sorry, 12 of you teams out of the NFL, sorry, you can't have you're not allowed to have anybody show up." Well, it's not even really a home game. It's like it's a scrimmage, it feels like.
Yeah.
There's no atmosphere there. So if you're going to do that, and the NFL's got to make a decision. I don't think what the NFL has come out and said now should stand. I think the NFL might change their mind on this, because how is it okay for let's just think of a number. Let's just say 5,000 fans are going to be allowed, at the Texans, stadium. But when the Texans go to, we'll just say the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't even know who they're playing, but let's just say they're playing the Eagles, and the Eagles aren't allowed to have anybody there. I'm sorry. I think it would be wrong if you're gonna kind of hey, all the teams, you get free liberty to do whatever you want, allow as many fans or whatever have you for your respective teams, but the other teams they're just not allowed to have any. I just think that's wrong. You can't play one side or the other. You got to keep it fair across the board. That way nobody can make an argument or create any kind of disturbance throughout listen, the NFL's taken enough black eyes over the years, right? Whether it be players doing things that they shouldn't be doing, whether it be organizations doing things that they shouldn't be doing, and over the amount of years with Roger Goodell at the helm, he's got to be overwhelmed at times. He can't take it anymore. Their whole goal is to try to keep the NFL above water. And you don't want any more black eyes. Even as minor as this might sound, you don't want more bad news about the NFL. So keep it the same, just like your rules. Keep it straight across the board. If a few teams aren't allowed to have fans, then nobody. All 32 teams should not be allowed to have fans.
Yeah. I mean, I can hear what you're talking about, because I even was thinking about it when you were talking that, say potentially you have the front row, like you said. Say you have 1,000 fans, even too. It's smaller,
right?
So that means quieter potentially
right.
in the stadium. That means maybe something that someone shouts right there closer to you can affect you more because you hear it.
Maybe.
You don't hear it when the crowd's going. You'll hear them saying, blah 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 blah.
Tom,
this
you
and this
suck.
and blah blah blah. Yeah, yeah. And take it personally, because the one thing that you see in the NBA is you got the crowd that's smaller, that's right on top of you, and you get to hear things. How many times do we see that the players get in a scuffle with a fan because of something they have heard from behind them or things like that? I can potentially hear something like that happening, so I can agree with you there and saying, maybe keep it. If everybody's doing it, just keep it all the same. That way, everybody's on a level playing field, and I can go along with that moving forward. That's a great question by Mike Tackett. Always a good time when he comes in here, and always knowledgeable.
Thanks, Mike.
Anybody else too? If you have any other questions, comments, lay them on that here too. We want to hear it from you guys. All right, but moving forward here with our AFC South's biggest questions here. Finally, we're going to reach our last team here with the AFC South, and that is none other than the Houston Texans. Here we go. Now, how will DeAndre Hopkins' departure affect the offense? Here we go, because, again, he goes in a crazy trade here to the Arizona Cardinals earlier on, and they get David Johnson. And, the whole internet, I think, broke there, and just a lot of people were just thinking, I don't know. Like, what? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, I mean, Texans fans were blowing up. I mean, we had heard about maybe turmoil between Bill O'Brien and DeAndre Hopkins. He didn't like that he was a locker room presence and things like that. But now we're looking at the roster moving forward without him now.
Wow.
And instead you get Brandon Cooks, who has been able to, keep a nice career here. He's your
close.
new number one here. But then again, now you move in and get Randall Cobb here. I still don't think Randall Cobb is an answer to anything, much like some Dallas Cowboys thought he might have been when he was in the Cowboys. How'd that work out for
Cowboys fans thought they were going to the Super Bowl when they got
exactly.
Randall Cobb.
Yeah, now he's over here. And you still have Will Fuller and Kiki Cutie here and there. I mean, Fuller, if he's great when he's in there, but he gets injured at times, but not having that count on guy, especially a guy that Deshaun Watson trusted in and really appreciated here in DeAndre Hopkins, you got to learn a whole new thing with these two guys, and it's going to affect the offense here. Now you've got David Johnson here running the football too as well, who hasn't been the same since his injury.
For how long?
For how long? So that is the question. How is this offense of the Houston Texans going to look without DeAndre Hopkins?
Bill O'Brien, what the fuck are you thinking? What does it matter with you? Do you have any kind of, X's and O's mentality up there upstairs?
Don't be rude.
I'm sorry there, Trump, whatever. This is ridiculous. You expect me to believe that, okay, DeAndre Hopkins, mind you, was still under contract. Yes, he wanted some money, but that was probably to put up with your ass. It's terrible. So you go ahead and you dish him because you have a personal problem with DeAndre Hopkins, not because of his talent, obviously. He's one of the best receivers in the freaking NFL. So, Deshaun Watson, one of his best friends, extremely outraged by this move. Hopkins, one of the best receivers you send out. You get a guy who's been injured the last, 4 years of his career? I mean, he hasn't been able to stay on the football field that long. David Johnson, what's to say he's going to stay on the football field this year? You just gave away your best weapon on offense. You're asking to be fired, Bill. You really are. And then to take it a step further, let's just say this. You will actually let DJ Reader, one of your best D linemen, walk into free agency and leave Houston? That's 2 strikes.
Nice job, dumbass.
Just saying, that's 2 strikes. And then you go into the draft, and because you let DJ Reader go into free agency and sign elsewhere, you were forced to draft a replacement. You got Ross Blacklock. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, that was a reach to me. Even though it was a second round, I'm not buying that. That's not a DJ Reader caliber player. So you got lower value, in my mind, for DJ Reader in the draft. You got lower value at the receiving corps position because now you no longer have Hopkins. No, you bring in Brandon Cooks. Like, really? Brandon Cooks is your answer to this? Because as of right now, I mean, Will Fuller, as good as he is, he's another guy who's injured all the time. He can't stay on the football field. And that's the biggest issue. Now you have a guy who maybe might be there for week 5, maybe. And if Will Fuller gets hurt and done for the year, you're looking at Cooks, you're looking at Randall Cobb. Old man Randall Cobb is going to be another guy who's going to take your offense to the next level. I'm sorry. I'm not buying it. No, absolutely God. Terrible. So, as great as Deshaun Watson is, Bill, you gave him less weapons. Mm-hmm. Less. They're not even, I mean, they're productive when they're on the football field, but how long will they be there? And this offense that you have now, orchestrated now, are they going to bring you back to the playoffs? Maybe. Maybe Watson can work some miracles here and there. We've seen it happen before. But with Hopkins in the lineup, not Brandon Cooks and Randall frickin' Cobb. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Will Fuller, I love the guy. I love the player. But he just can't stay healthy. So I just see this as, just a time bomb. this offense. Randall Cobb's going to get hurt too. He's not the most healthiest guy. He's getting older. He could be gone. Will Fuller's a possibility to get injured by week 5, week 6. He'll be gone. How long and then Brandon Cooks isn't the healthiest guy either. So your number one receiver that you brought in is also a guy who tends to get injured. And then you could potentially have all 3 of your starters gone and not playing. You got Watson trying to run around for his life. I can just see it now. Where's my man Albert? Our man Albert, he is a know-it-all, one of our best know-it-alls out there. He is a die-hard Texans fan, and I really wish he was here so he could kind of speak his mind on this issue as well. But all in all, I don't think this team got better. This team, to me, took 2 steps backwards. And as a Texans fan, if you're out there, I feel bad for you, bro.
Absolutely. And you're talking about here, too, they've got the trade for David Johnson where they gave DeAndre Hopkins, they only got back a 4th-round pick and a 2nd-round pick for him. And then the fact that they have to go and trade for Brandon Cooks afterwards, so giving up more of your picks here in exchange for a first. What was it? Was it 1st and a 6th over there? No. I can't remember what they gave up there. But, yeah, giving up some more of your value to go get a receiver, to fill in the guy that you had just because, you didn't like the guy or, too much power within everybody?
Personal
vendetta. Because, yes, personal vendetta. You're losing your grip of the team. I mean, the one move I do like was going out and get Laramie Tunsil here for the offensive line to help them. But then to loosen up your wide receiving core and just water it down a bit here is just something that Deshaun Watson doesn't need here. It's going to be tough for him to, get that go-to guy here, especially because you're bringing these guys in here, not getting a lot of time to work with each other in this offseason, this special offseason that we have. And you're unlimited, you're on borrowed time here, Bill O'Brien, because you got to be on the hot seat. Somehow you got traded up into the presidential spot here to be the now GM on top of the head coach, but you should have been fired as the head coach altogether, especially after that playoff game you had last season.
Terrible
that was
play calls.
Putrid. So the fact that you're still going here is pretty insane. But as far as how will they go moving forward without DeAndre Hopkins, I say they've got to be able to make a good push here, and they can make the playoffs again. But it's going to be a different look for this team, and I think points are going to be a little harder to come by.
Everything's got to work out to a T. Everything.
Especially the teams that are in the division, they're tough. We saw it last year even. You're lucky that the Colts were struggling with injuries here and there, and they had lost their quarterback a few weeks before the start of the season. But now they've got Phillip Rivers in there, and I think they're going to look better this season. They've got 2 nice running backs here 100%. On top of more wide receiver depth. I mean, we've been talking about it this whole segment here. The Titans can bring it right back here and push you. So this is a tight division here to where you weren't the given the team to just win it. You've won it the division the last 5 seasons. I think your time is limited, and this is it right now. This is, I think, where reality sets in, and you're in big trouble.
Jim, I got a question for you.
What's up?
Bill O'Brien fired at the end of the year.
I think so, because they're not going to play the playoffs here. So he has no more excuses, I think, after it's all said and done. He's got to be. If he doesn't, I just don't understand what's going on in the owner's mind.
And I completely agree with you. I thought, listen, I was pounding the table for Bill O'Brien to be fired last year. I really thought that he did not only a horrible job as a head coach, and we've seen this year in and year out in years past, that he's just not up to snuff. He doesn't make the best decisions on the football field, play-wise, situation-wise, and personnel. That's on it. I mean, I'm sorry. And then after last season, after you literally pretty much lost the game for your team just based on your poor decision-making, you get promoted to be the GM. Now, I'm sorry. There's been plenty of other legendary coaches that have taken on that role of GM and head coach. Guess who was successful? Hardly any. Bill Parcells, one of the greatest coaches to coach the game. He took on that role at one point, failed miserably, because it's a lot. And if he's failing at just head coaching, he's going to fail at both again. So I just don't understand what the Texans organization is doing at this point.
Absolutely. So there you go. That is our AFC South's biggest questions. Maybe you guys agree. If you don't, let us know. If you do, let us know too. What do you guys have for your biggest questions? Drop a comment here. We are streaming live from with Restream through Facebook, YouTube, and also on Twitch too as well. So definitely drop us a comment down there.
Definitely,
and,
if you already
if
you already haven't done so, go ahead and make sure you follow us. We're on Facebook, Football on the No Show. Join our group, become a know-it-all. Do the same thing over on YouTube. If you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell for our latest and greatest updated content. And then we're also on Twitter at FB_no. We try to keep up with all the latest updates, the news around the NFL in that aspect, and also have some funny skits to post there too.
Absolutely. And, one quick thing I was thinking about as we were talking about the Bills with Mike Tackett and stuff, and we talked about Cam to the Patriots now. His defensive coordinator that he had with the Carolina Panthers was Sean McDermott. Now that Cam is going to be playing with the Patriots, do you think Sean McDermott is going to be able to dial up something here
100%
to combat Cam Newton here in New England and still name the Bills possibly as the AFC East divisional champion?
Here's the thing: is Sean McDermott? He's had a few years to digest what the Patriots like to do, right? And he's done a miraculous job on the defensive side of the football to combat that at times. Now you have Cam coming into the thing. Cam's not running the ball. I don't see it. If he does, if the Patriots do kind of throw that wrinkle in here and there with Cam running the ball, I think it might be a bad decision. He will probably end up getting hurt because of it. But I think you'll see a different type of Cam. A different approach for him. The New England Patriots don't want to try to risk injury to him, so he's not going to be running the football. I mean, I expect not at all, but who knows, right?
I think here and there, I think they go in and work it in slowly again. I mean, much like maybe we've talked about, like I thought when I don't know if it was Mike Tackett or one of our know-it-alls last week had brought up Gronk over there at the tight end position with O.J. Howard. I think it was Mike Tackett in Tampa. Is he the true number one? Is O.J. Howard going to move to the third or be out of it? And now with Cam Newton, I don't think they're going to go full bore. Let's just go RPOs nonstop, or let's make him designed runs. I say they sprinkle it here and there, and they take it easy because, again, you looked at it with your injury report that we had earlier on, and our friends here at sportsinjurypredictor.com, they're looking at 45% of a chance that he's going to get injured.
That's
high risk here with the injuries that he had that are major ones. You're talking about spinal injury, the back, the shoulder, the throwing arm, your feet that he's had since college. That same left foot has been giving him issues and, struggling.
I just don't see RPOs happening. I think, listen.
I think Josh McDaniels is going to find ways to do it.
And if he does, it'll be a mistake because it's going to take one hit and he either gets a concussion or he's going to get injured. I don't think they're going to risk that. It's not much of an investment with the amount of money they're paying him. But if, say, for example, like we said this before, if he does get this offense down, I could easily see him taking over and being the starter because I think the offense would do well with
that.
him.
Yeah,
however,
I totally see it.
I don't see too many running options with him. Even if they sprinkle it in, I think that he's a 32-year-old quarterback. You got to keep that in mind. And he has a long list of injuries. So do you really want to risk that and then kind of say, okay, well, now it's Stidham's turn? You know what I mean? I don't know. If you're not convinced, you shouldn't even risk that for him to get injured.
Absolutely. There you go. There's our laundry list right there of the injuries that he's had. The sportsinjurypredictor.com shows it here at 45%. Yes, so we'll see what happens moving forward with Cam Newton. I'm excited. Hopefully the season will start off like it should be moving forward with COVID-19. Everything is all messed up here. People are talking bubbles. People are talking no fans. Training camps scheduled for the 28th of July. Let's see what happens moving forward with that, see where we're going, if we're still on schedule there. I hope so. I would love to see a football season going. I know a lot of people here, too, as well.
Yeah.
And, more storylines moving forward and a lot more to talk about.
Absolutely. And I don't see this getting derailed. The NFL's already said that they are going forward. We are going to have a couple of preseason games. We are going forward with the regular season as seen fit. And the only way this gets derailed is if another wave of a pandemic happens. That's the only way I could see it happening. So as long as COVID stays away, stay away. Don't want you here. No. We are going to have a football season.
Absolutely. So that's it for our show this week. Hope to see you guys next time when we will be talking the NFC South. Now wrap up our biggest question segment, and we will see you guys next time.
One other thing I want to touch on real quick is we are doing our last division next week, everybody. So I want to put out to the know-it-alls right now, if you've watched to the end right now, which I highly doubt, but if you have done so, give us an idea. Give us an idea that you would like to see on our show. Maybe give us an idea whether you want to do certain teams or if you want to do more fantasy football type of questions or anything like that. Give us an idea for the show, and we might just put it on.
Yeah, definitely. We have been working on some fantasy stuff moving forward with potential fantasy rookies to draft in there, but we're going to keep that again for when we get closer to the season. Hopefully we can do that moving forward.
And don't draft just yet. No fantasy drafts right now. Everybody.
Yeah, right. Everybody should stay away.
You got to wait. You know, 'cause that's the craziest thing is there's people that are probably going to do fantasy drafts like either this weekend in July. Why?
That's why you always stop. You're
going to draft an injured player.
Yeah. Who knows? All right, that's it for us. We will see you guys next time.
Later, guys.